Uh-oh, Donald. We are now learning that there is a secret indictment of Jeffrey Epstein that was never unsealed and made public because Epstein allegedly died by suicide. And so the indictment was never made public and Epstein was never actually prosecuted because he allegedly died by suicide. But this is an over 50-page criminal indictment that was prepared by the Department of Justice at the time, before Donald Trump obviously destroyed the Department of Justice, which he did now with Pam Bondi. And it may have a roadmap to not only Epstein's sex trafficking crimes, but also Epstein's co-conspirators. Could this secret indictment, which nobody's seen before, it has never been released and is currently in the Department of Justice and FBI's possession, could it hold a roadmap and a key to also learning how Epstein used Mar-a-Lago to sex traffic underage girls like Virginia Giuffre, who was sex trafficked in or around 2000 and 2001 when she was a 17-year-old girl working at the Mar-a-Lago spa, and Donald Trump said that Epstein stole her from the spa and stole potentially other girls from the spa. I'm sure you know that during Ghislaine Maxwell's criminal trial, facts about underage girls at Mar-a-Lago were discussed. Virginia Giuffre being sex trafficked after being taken by Epstein from Mar-a-Lago, to use Donald Trump's despicable language, but also a 14-year-old girl, Jane Doe, who Epstein and Ghislaine, a victim, brought to Mar-a-Lago. And according to the 14-year-old girl in a civil case, Epstein said, "Do you like this one, Donald? Look at this one that I'm bringing you," or words to that effect. Is that in this secret 50-plus page indictment that is currently in the Department of Justice and FBI's possession? So one of the easiest things that the DOJ and FBI could do tomorrow, which they should have done months and months and months ago, why don't you just release that 50-page plus indictment that was going to be filed against Epstein, but was never, because he allegedly died by suicide? And why don't we start with that document? We know the DOJ and the FBI have in their possession and custody over 300 gigabytes or more of videos and photos and FBI interviews and other witness statements and logs and a ton of other stuff that was confiscated from Epstein's various homes and from Ghislaine. That stuff the FBI and the DOJ could have released months ago. That has nothing to do with grand jury testimony. That has nothing to do with Ghislaine Maxwell being interviewed or getting immunity, which the DOJ and FBI despicably gave her. You have this in your custody and control. So why don't we do this? And maybe the Democrats should ask for this, but the Democrats have made a powerful move that I'll talk about as well. When the Democrats sent a letter saying, "We want to learn more information about your meeting with Ghislaine." I'll talk about that in a moment as well. But DOJ, FBI, let's start off in good faith, which of course they don't have. Release the secret indictment on Epstein and let the public see that first. What are you hiding with that? Is there Mar-a-Lago stuff in that? Let us see that. Now, the Epstein victim's attorney, a guy by the name of Jack Scarola, he's saying what I'm saying. Release the secret indictment. The victims want to see that document out there. Start there. Watch this powerful statement he just gave in an interview. Let's play this clip.
There's a 53-page indictment that was drafted by the federal government detailing Epstein's crimes, describing the conspiracy and conspirators who were involved in those crimes, that has never been released, that could be released tomorrow if the Department of Justice were really interested in transparency. There are transcripts, presumably, of the interviews that were conducted with Ghislaine Maxwell that could be released tomorrow if the Justice Department were truly interested in transparency. And if there were really an investigation that were directed at determining what this cover-up is all about, why it began, Alex Acosta would be at the very top of the list of individuals to be interviewed, because it is well documented in Acosta's own words that he actively participated in concealing the circumstances of the sweetheart deal that Jeffrey Epstein received back in 2007. And he was the individual who signed off on an absolutely unprecedented non-prosecution agreement that granted immunity not only to Jeffrey Epstein, but to specifically named conspirators that worked along with him to abuse hundreds of children.
I couldn't agree more with that. Now, in addition to that data, again, I think, by the way, the Democrats should be subpoenaing, ask for that, and we'll start with that indictment. Then we'll go get the other 300 gigabytes, and we deserve that immediately. It should be noted, right, that the Democrats have subpoenaed, and they forced the House Oversight Committee to subpoena the Epstein files. That's due in 5 days. So mark your calendar, 5 days, the DOJ has to respond. I'm sure they're going to try to block it and assert objections. So just wait for that to happen.
When was the last time you truly trusted the seafood you brought home? I used to question everything from nutrition and taste to sustainability until I discovered Wild Alaskan Company. Wild Alaskan Company is the best way to get wild-caught, perfectly portioned, nutrient-dense seafood delivered directly to your door. Trust me, you haven't tasted fish this good. I was so excited the first time I received my shipment from the Wild Alaskan Company. I received my Pacific halibut and pan-seared it that evening. It was delicious. The Wild Alaskan Company is 100% wild-caught, never farmed. This means there are no antibiotics, GMOs, or additives. Just clean, real fish that support healthy oceans and fishing communities. It's nutrient-rich and full of flavor. Wild Alaskan's fish is frozen off the boat to lock in taste, texture, and nutrients like omega-3s. My favorite, it's also sustainably sourced. Wild caught from Alaska, every order supports sustainable harvesting practices. And your membership delivers flexible shipments, expert tips, and a truly feel-good seafood experience. If you're not completely satisfied with your first box, Wild Alaskan Company will give you a full refund, no questions asked. No risk, just high-quality seafood. Not all fish are the same. Get seafood you can trust. Go to wildalaskan.com/Meidas for $35 off your first box of premium wild-caught seafood. That's wildalaskan.com/Meidas for $35 off your first order. Thanks to Wild Alaskan Company for sponsoring this episode.
But the House Judiciary Committee Democrats yesterday asked the Justice Department for records, transfer orders, and any waivers from the prison transfer of Ghislaine Maxwell. The American public should be outraged by the special treatment afforded to a pedophile and criminally charged child sex offender, the Democrats say in this letter. So this is a letter from the Judiciary Democrats. House Judiciary Democrats to Pam Bondi, the Attorney General. Dear Attorney General Bondi and dear Director Marshall, Director of the Federal Bureau of Prisons. 2 weeks ago, you inexplicably transferred Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, from a federal correctional institution to a far preferable and relatively luxurious minimum security prison camp in Texas. Just 3 years into her 20-year sentence for sexually exploiting and abusing minor girls as young as 14. The transfer follows Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche's private interviews of Miss Maxwell arranged after a firestorm of media attention about the Department of Justice's refusal to release the full Epstein files as originally demanded by Donald Trump. These actions raise substantial concerns that the administration may now be attempting to tamper with a crucial witness, conceal Trump's relationship with convicted sex offenders, and coax Miss Maxwell into providing false or misleading testimony in order to protect Donald Trump. Pause there. You remember my reporting from 2 days ago about Ghislaine Maxwell's cellmate in Tallahassee, Florida. It was first reported in the Daily Mail that her cellmate said that Ghislaine had previously been telling people, oh, she's got so much dirt on Donald Trump, and she wanted to give that dirt to former President Biden and Merrick Garland. But Biden and Merrick Garland said, we ain't speaking with a convicted sex trafficker. Even if you claim you have dirt, we don't want to speak to convicted sex traffickers. We're not touching you. We're not talking to you. We're not looking at you. So then she moved on to her next plan right here. By the way, it's also my view that she was the one who leaked, and should be obvious, right? The birthday montage or that birthday compilation to the Wall Street Journal. I think one of her family members or lawyers or somebody, I don't know who specifically, it's my opinion that they leaked it to the Wall Street Journal as a warning shot to Donald Trump. You better come and speak to her. And then I think it was coordinated behind the scenes after they issued that warning shot that she's got the goods for Trump to do all of the stuff with her. But I digress. But I think that's an important point as well. The transfer appears to violate both the DOJ and Bureau of Prisons policies. We write to demand the DOJ and BOP provide all documents and information related to Deputy Attorney General Blanche's interview of Ms. Maxwell and the sudden decision to transfer her to a facility with lower security and greater freedom for inmates, which was prior to this extraordinary transfer, categorically off limits to sex offenders. And pause there. One of the important things from that intro as well is Democrats are saying, we think that you may have engaged in crimes, Trump, Blanche, not just relating to what went down in the past, but by manipulating this witness with favors, by engaging in waivers to go to put a registered sex offender and sex trafficker in a minimum security facility in Camp Bryan, Texas, right by the Texas A&M college campus, that could be witness tampering. That could be a felony in and of itself, the way you've been dealing with Ghislaine Maxwell, which, by the way, is probably one of the reasons, too, that Biden was like, do not speak to her. Like, we're not getting involved with her. It could only lead to trouble, whether we like that or not, because maybe Biden could have got the goods and the dirt on Donald Trump, as Ghislaine's told cellmates allegedly. Then the letter goes on to say, recently, Trump has engaged in a series of actions that create the strong appearance that his administration is attempting to cover up the full extent of the relationship that Trump and Epstein had. Amid mounting bipartisan pressure for the administration to release the full Epstein files, Blanche, Donald Trump's former criminal defense attorney, now number 2 at the DOJ, met with Ms. Maxwell to discuss her decades-long involvement in a scheme to traffic and sexually abuse young girls. These meetings were highly unusual for several reasons. Mr. Blanche, who until 10 months ago served as Donald Trump's personal criminal defense lawyer, met with Ms. Maxwell and her attorney with no line prosecutors present. The meeting took place just days after DOJ leadership fired one of the chief career prosecutors on the Epstein matter. The purported purpose of this secretive meeting with Ms. Maxwell and her attorneys was to determine whether she possessed information about anyone who has committed crimes against victims. However, the need for this meeting was undercut by the DOJ's recent contradictory statements that its thorough review of the Epstein files, which reportedly identified repeated references to Donald Trump, did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. Ms. Maxwell's credibility as a witness was already severely compromised before she was interviewed behind closed doors by the Deputy Attorney General. During Trump's first administration, federal prosecutors charged her with perjury, stating her willingness to brazenly lie under oath about her conduct strongly suggests her true motive has been and remains to avoid being held accountable for her crimes. However, Mr. Blanche destroyed any shred of credibility Ms. Maxwell may have had left when he decided to attend multiple private meetings with her after she was subpoenaed by a congressional committee to offer public testimony. His actions raised staggering concerns about political conflicts of interest, witness tampering, and suborning a false testimony. This is going to be important when Democrats take control of the House and in future DOJs. They're saying you're committing crimes, potentially witness tampering, suborning perjury. These are crimes. Less than a week after Blanche's meeting with Ms. Maxwell, the Bureau of Prisons then transferred her from a federal correctional institution in Tallahassee to an all-woman minimum security facility listed as one of the best jails in America to serve time. Then it goes on to explain how she's not allowed to do that based on being a sex trafficker, which is not allowed. It requires a waiver, and such a waiver almost never happens. Under BOP regulations, a person convicted of sex trafficking like Ms. Maxwell universally warrants a public safety factor, PSF, as sex offender. An individual with a PSF designation is ineligible to serve their sentence at a minimum security federal prison camp like the one in Bryan, Texas, because such camps allow access to the community. Once imposed, such designations are rarely, if ever, waived. I think that is an important point to make as well, because by the nature of being in this facility, they integrate and work with college students at Texas A&M, which is in Bryan, Texas. There were all of these programs from restorative justice and rehabilitation of the female inmates, puppy programs and education programs. And oftentimes the prisoners can just take a bus or walk right into town and hang out with the college kids. So now you have a convicted sex trafficker who was sentenced to 20 plus years who can walk right into a college town, and her MO is going into places like Mar-a-Lago and recruiting underage girls for the purpose of sex trafficking. So we have that data point. The other data point I want to give you, hat tip to my buddy Jonathan Larson for reporting on this. You all have asked, what the hell has happened to Alex Acosta? Alex Acosta is the former top federal prosecutor from the Southern District of Florida who became Donald Trump's labor secretary during Trump's first administration, who resigned after it was uncovered that he entered into the sweetheart deal with Jeffrey Epstein, the non-prosecution agreement back in 07-08 that Ghislaine Maxwell now uses for her appeal to the Supreme Court to dismiss the case against her, because in the non-prosecution agreement with Epstein, it said that all of his co-conspirators cannot be prosecuted either. So she's saying to the Supreme Court, a deal's a deal. Alex Acosta entered into this deal with me, or on my behalf with Epstein, so you couldn't prosecute me. So why, when the MAGA Republicans now in Congress are subpoenaing Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, James Comey, and all these other, Roberto Gonzalez, they do not subpoena Alex Acosta, who entered into the non-prosecution agreement, who surely knows about Trump and Trump and others, and he knows a lot about Trump and knows about Epstein's background. Why wouldn't you call Acosta in? Why wouldn't you subpoena him? So lots of people are saying, well, where is Acosta? Some shady business as well. So Alex Acosta has one of his jobs right now is he's on the board of directors of Newsmax, the Trump regime, state regime channel Newsmax. He's on their board of directors. And their stock rocketed day one, and then their stock plummeted thereafter. It was hit $100 a share on day one, and now it's trading at $12 a share. But Alex Acosta's on their board of directors. But on or around May 26th, we start to see Alex Acosta's name in the White House Bible study group. You know who else is in the White House Bible study group? Pam Bondi and others. This is a group of people that meet allegedly to talk about Bible and religion, but it's a organization where they meet in secret to allegedly do Bible study. But he seemed to really join this group in earnest publicly in May. As Larson reports, Epstein prosecutor Alex Acosta joined the White House Bible study. A month later, fellow Bible study participant Pam Bondi announced no more files would come out. So are they talking about this stuff in this Bible study group, and they're using the Bible study group as a front? Because it's a little bit suspicious that we start seeing him really to become a part of this group at this time period. Acosta, who served in the first administration, recently started to get involved in the Bible study group. Attorney General Pam Bondi was part of the very first White House Bible study in Trump's second administration on February 22nd. That was 26th. That was around the time she also said that she had the Epstein files on her desk. So right around February 26th, I have the Epstein files in my desk. She joins the Bible study group then. And now we see in May, right around the period where Trump starts to say, oh, we're not releasing the files. In June, we're not releasing the files. Acosta's name was added to the list of sponsors in the Bible study pamphlet. We see that right there. He starts speaking at Bible study events. You see his name on the June 26th Bible study event here. The Biblical Case for Defending Israel, June 26, 2025. Folks, where's Alex Acosta? Newsmax White House Bible study. That's where. Secret Indictment Now you know about that. And the Democratic letter about the waiver for Ghislaine Maxwell that was given by Trump, and the idea that we may be talking about suborning perjury and witness tampering felonies, if indeed that could be proven at a later time. Folks, there you have it. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 1 million followers.